At the start of 2005, Ed Oken seems at the top of his game. He is setting up a new life in Miami. He has a new girlfriend, Simone Bolani. And he has a new business, Investment Properties of America, known as IP of A, that owns and operates shopping malls and warehouses from Indiana to Louisiana. Its headquarters are in Richmond, Virginia, in a small office park 12 miles from downtown. There is just one continual problem for Oken. His company is not making money. He cannot pay his bills.
By 2005, his commercial real estate holdings were losing money at a rapid pace. There was actually documentary evidence that one of his largest properties was so cash-strapped that they didn't have enough money for gas for the security vehicles in the mall.
Assistant U.S. Attorney Michael Dry is part of a federal task force that investigates Oken. It includes agents from the Postal Inspection Service, the IRS, and the FBI.
In about 2005, his company was in a severe cash crisis, and he was going through a messy divorce. And at that time, he's ordered to pay $8 million to the wife through the divorce.
Mr. Oken was going to be fined $25,000 a day if the divorce settlement wasn't finalized. So he was under enormous pressure to settle the divorce proceedings.
He also needs cash to shower Simone Bolani with anything and everything.
The jewelry, the clothing, the shopping. I mean, what we heard was that Ms. Bolani got whatever she wanted from Mr. Oken.
And that summer, as cash-strapped Oken searches for money, he finds it in Boston in a business called the Atlantic Exchange Company, known as AEC. It's a type of business called a qualified intermediary, known as a QI. The sole function of a QI is to hold money for real estate investors who want to defer paying capital gains taxes. According to the U.S. Tax Code, Section 1031, people who sell an investment property can defer taxes on their profits if they reinvest the money in 180 days and never touch the money. They must give their money temporarily to a qualified intermediary.
So if you're a client and you give your money to a qualified intermediary, you're not investing with a qualified intermediary. You're basically just saying, I'm giving you my money, hold my money. Within 180 days, I'm going to ask for that money back so I can buy a new property.
In the summer of 2005, Ed Oken looks at QI businesses and sees the answer to his problems.
Oh, these are gigantic piggy banks that just hold large amount of money, waiting for transactions.
At the time, AEC is holding roughly $170 million in what are called client exchange funds. And in August, Oken gets a loan, buys the Atlantic Exchange Company for $4 million, and immediately gets access to the nearly $170 million in customer money. Helping him with the transaction is a former paralegal, now his chief operating officer, Laura Coleman.
He was his assistant?
Yes.
We're a glorified title. But yes, anything he asked was done.
Coleman did not respond to American Greed's request for an interview, but in a video deposition for use in a civil lawsuit, she explains how she helps Oken get the cash he needs from AEC.
Ed asked that all the money be moved to Richmond. I opened bank accounts at Bank of America. The money was transferred, and I would send out wires or issue checks, depending on what the transaction involved.
It's just that easy. Because as Brian Lefevre, a special agent with IRS Criminal Investigation, knows, no one regulates qualified intermediaries.
Qualified intermediary is not necessarily regulated like a bank. There are exchange agreements which govern what you're supposed to do with the money. However, you don't necessarily have someone looking over your shoulder to make sure you're abiding by the exchange agreements.
And so Oken and Coleman can take funds that were supposed to be in escrow and use them to pay Ed Oken's bills and to fund his fantasy life.
The day after he purchased the company,